Let's begin with nutrition. Be honest now. How many balanced meals do you eat each day? Do you know what different kinds of food should be included in a well-balanced diet? And are you eating them on a regular basis? According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, getting proper nutrition in your senior years can have a significant impact on your health and on your well-being. But many seniors lose interest in preparing meals for themselves, or they can't afford the food they need. Let's learn about some programs that are designed to help address these problems.
Five days a week, Margaret and Wayne Ackers have hot meals delivered straight to their doorstep by volunteers from Meals on Wheels.
We're very fortunate. I'm glad they have the program.
The Ackers world was turned upside down when Wayne was hit by a car several years ago and nearly killed.
I had both legs crushed, shoulder pulled out, and a hand crushed, and I couldn't work anymore, and my savings were gone.
With little money, the Ackers were facing a major dilemma.
It would be a choice between the buying food or buying the prescriptions.
Thankfully, they were never forced to make that choice. Instead, they rely on Meals on Wheels. The organization makes food available to seniors and others who can't provide for themselves. But for many older Americans who have no income or depend entirely on Social Security, getting adequate nutrition is a serious problem, and the number of seniors who face that problem is growing. The U.S. Census Bureau reports that in 2005, more than 10% of people over the age of 65 lived in poverty. That number is up from 2004.
Lines open.
Proper nutrition remains important throughout our lives, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. And in our later years, it can lessen the risk or effects of many serious diseases: osteoporosis, obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, certain cancers, and gastrointestinal problems. Which is partly why the federal government created the Elderly Nutrition Program. It provides funding for home-delivered meals like those served by Meals on Wheels, as well as meals such as this one, offered to a group of seniors at this community center in Washington, D.C.
The nutrition program is like the foundation of home and community-based services, because without adequate food and fluid, we're not going to live.
How was everybody's lunch today?
Providing communal meals serves a dual purpose. It gives seniors the nutrition they need and also creates an opportunity for them to socialize. The FDA's research indicates that loneliness is actually a key reason that many seniors don't eat well. Without company, they just don't bother to prepare meals.
They have retired from their active lives, and after a while their social contacts have decreased. And so this is an outlet for them to come and to meet and develop new friends.
While no one over the age of 60 is charged for the meals at this center, people can voluntarily and confidentially donate money.
I have people from all walks of life come here, and that's what makes this program so interesting.
Your grandson was staying with you for a while. Is he still here?
For those seniors who are homebound, a friendly visit from Meals on Wheels feeds not just the body, but also the soul.
They usually, bring the meals and see how we're doing, making sure we're okay.
How about you, Mrs. Ackers? How are you feeling today?
Good.
Good?
Yeah. I'm recovering from surgery that I had a month ago.
Tell me about it.
Volunteers such as Sandy Macon and her son Chris can keep tabs on how the seniors are doing and offer precious companionship.
Many would not have the opportunity to interact with another human being if it was not for us delivering these meals.
Hey, Mrs. Harding. How are you doing today?
Thank you.
Not all seniors prefer a lengthy visit with volunteers. Instead, they're satisfied with a friendly smile. And the home-delivered food enables many of them to continue living independently and avoid premature placement into nursing homes. Sandy and Chris believe the meals their organization provides will allow more and more seniors to live healthier, longer, more satisfying lives.
To remain independently with dignity, and that's the point.
Here to talk about proper nutrition and the programs that are helping seniors to get it is Jean Lloyd, a registered dietitian and a national nutritionist with the U.S. Administration on Aging. Also with us is Enid Borden, the Chief Executive Officer of Meals on Wheels Association of America. Thanks to you both for being here. Well, I have something to admit to you, Enid. I've been a Meals on Wheels volunteer for years.
Good for you.
And when I was getting my PhD, that's when it started because I did my internship as a Meals on Wheels volunteer.
Good for you.
It was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. Do you feel that volunteers for your organization get more out of it even than sometimes than those that they are volunteering for?
I think there's no question about it. I guess I want to thank you, really. I think the soul, the heart of our organization are those volunteers. And we probably have the largest volunteer army of any not-for-profit organization in the world. In fact, we have at least 500 to maybe 750,000 volunteers throughout the United States, and I really do thank you for doing that. It's very important.
Oh, it was incredibly rewarding for me. Tell me, Jean, nutrition. I know nutrition is a constant problem for mature adults. I know a lot of people, like case managers, will go in and they'll see a mature adult may have no food in their cabinets. How do you increase the nutritional value? How do you get your parent, let's say, to start eating more?
Well, I think first of all, people have to be active caregivers, and they have to first notice it, and then they have to know about community resources, that if their parent is mobile, there are community programs like congregate meals in a community center that they might go to, or if they're homebound, they can get home delivered meals. You also need to help them access healthy food. They might not be able to shop for themselves. Make sure you're able to get them food that they can simply prepare for themselves. And if they have decreased appetite, or if they have medications that interfere, have someone help them time their meals so that they're able to eat better.
Now, I also know that a lot of seniors don't eat because they have dental or mouth problems that they don't take care of. That's pretty prominent, isn't it?
I think teeth problems are prominent, chewing and swallowing problems are common. Part of that has to do with medications that they might have, fact that they might have dentures that don't fit well. They also might have other sensory problems, like they may not smell as well as they used to, they may not taste as well, they may not see as well. All those things interfere.
One of the most phenomenal statistics ever is how, and these numbers might be wrong, but I remember when I was getting my education, the number of taste buds we have when we're younger is about 270 or something, and your taste buds when you're older are 85. And so that's why a lot of people stop eating as much, because they just don't get that wonderful taste and smell from the food like you said. Enid, do you feel that Meals on Wheels and other programs that are like it allow people to stay in their homes longer because they're getting brought their foods?
Absolutely. It's all about having people remain in their homes with the dignity of being in their homes. I mean, it's no different from you and I. When we are our age, we want to be in our own homes, we want to be independent. So why do we think that when we get older, we don't want to do that anymore? Absolutely. That's what our programs give them. It allows them to stay in their homes, have good nutrition. I mean, our food is terrific. And they become part of another community. This is all about a community.
The only concern that I had listening to you and watching the package is the woman that was in the package, the volunteer, said it was really the only people that came to visit this couple, or that the only interaction that they had. Sometimes it's time to actually get out of the home and get into an assisted living or retirement area so you can have social isolation, so you're not involved in social isolation, correct?
That's true. And there's an interesting statistic. 61% of those people who are receiving Meals on Wheels in the home say that the only person they might see for a day or a week or a month is that Meals on Wheels volunteer. So those volunteers are very important. And yes, you're right. I mean, if in fact they can't maintain themselves within their home, there are other options in the community, assisted living, nursing homes. But most people, if you do a survey, they want to stay in their own homes. And that's what our programs are very good at doing. We can provide the food to allow them to stay in their own homes.
Jean, I know we saw on the piece that poverty is a huge problem. How much does that factor into the inability for people to get the proper nutrition and the proper amount of food that they need?
Well, poverty affects a number of things. Poverty would affect their ability to access healthy food. They may not be able to transport themselves and be able to get it. Poverty affects the kind of variety that they might be able to select. It also, people who are poor also have poor health, and so they might not be able to carry groceries. You know, when you think about it, a jug of milk is heavy. A carton of orange juice is heavy.
Isn't that the truth?
And older people might be able to carry 5 or 10 pounds. So you can carry a couple of apples. You can't carry a tote of apples. You know, those kinds of things that are out there right now. So it's a combination of their ability to carry things if they have access or limited access. Inner city and rural areas both have limited grocery stores. And so people may not be able to get the perishable foods that they want to keep them healthy, or canned goods are heavy.
Right. This is great information. We'll be back in a moment. It's time for us to take a short break. Stay with us because we'll be back shortly to continue our discussion with Jean Lloyd and Enid Borden about nutrition and nutrition programs for seniors.
Do you know how many meals are delivered by Meals on Wheels each day? Do you know how many meals are delivered by Meals on Wheels each day? Answer C, 1 million. Meals on Wheels estimates that nearly 2 million additional meals will be required to meet the growing demand in the future.
Welcome back to the Daily Apple. We're talking about proper nutrition and nutrition programs for seniors with Jean Lloyd, National Nutritionist with the U.S. Administration on Aging, and Enid Borden, CEO of Meals on Wheels Association of America. Enid, are there many seniors that actually volunteer for Meals on Wheels?
You know, the preponderance of our volunteers themselves are seniors because, remember, they're volunteering during that midday. And who else has the time to do it then but seniors? So the vast majority of those people who do volunteer are seniors themselves. However, what we need to do as an organization is enlist other people to volunteer. Unfortunately, many of those seniors are going to be at an age when they can't volunteer anymore, so we're working very actively. We're pursuing all avenues to get more people to volunteer. We're looking at young people on college campuses. We have a terrific program we call Tomorrow's Leaders, trying to enlist young people to do that. We're also looking to the corporate sector to have corporations say to their employees, you know what, go take some time during the day and go volunteer for a Meals on Wheels program. And once you do, you're hooked. So yeah, right now the majority of people who do volunteer are seniors, but we're trying to change that. We've got to get young people involved in these programs. These are hunger programs. These are programs that without our volunteers, they would not exist. So we need to enlist everybody we can to be a volunteer.
What kind of dietary standards are there that are out there? What kind of nutritional health screening and things of that nature?
What we do in the program is, first, the law requires that we meet certain kinds of dietary standards. They're called the Recommended Dietary Allowances and the Dietary Guidelines for Americans. And so the meals served in the programs meet those standards. In addition, we try to make food that's appealing to older people and that meet their special needs as well. For example, if someone has a religious need, so we serve in some programs halal or kosher meals. There are also programs that try to meet the special dietary needs so that they're lower in sodium, lower in fat, lower in simple sugars to meet their health conditions. And then we're becoming a more diverse country. We have more and more older people who eat different kinds of foods, whether they're from American Samoa or they're from Vietnam, whether they're from Mexico or Portugal or Haitian.
Sure.
So we all have programs like that that serve those kinds of ethnic populations as well, whether they're, Mexican Americans in Nebraska or whether they're Vietnamese in North Carolina.
Wow, that is really fabulous. So you're serving the melting pot nutritionally as well.
Oh, of course.
Enid, I was really interested in the history of Meals on Wheels. If I remember correctly, it started in Great Britain, right?
That's correct.
In '39 during the war.
That's right.
And then it came to America in the 50s. Tell
That's
us a little bit about that.
Well, it came to America in the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and it was started by a woman named Margaret Toy. And it started very small and grew and it grew and it grew. And now I'm proud to say we have probably about 4,500 to 5,000 individual Meals on Wheels programs throughout the United States. It's a wonderful, I go to work every day proud of what I do, proud of the people for whom I work, those programs throughout the United States. However, I need to say one thing, that even with all those programs that we have in the United States, and they're terrific, every one of them, even with that, 4 out of 10 of those programs have waiting lists. And that means that on any given night in this country, seniors are going to bed hungry.
Do you have the potential to expand your programs if more volunteers come?
We need more volunteers and we need more money. I mean, you cannot
Support a
purchase
program.
food without money. We need money desperately.
Jean, how do you, if you were going to speak to our audience about being a volunteer, about donating, give us some recommendations.
Well, I think, first of all, the broad group of people should be able to be volunteers, give of themselves, give of their time. There are local organizations that they can donate to. They can encourage people who can pay for a meal, do private pay for a meal. You can encourage people who can donate what they can, and enlist the whole range, as Enid said, of people, whether they're kids in school, whether there's corporate America. And programs are beginning to take advantage of the variety of funding sources that are out there, as well as the federal government through the Elderly Nutrition Program, things called Medicaid waivers in states so that the federal government pays through another funding source, trying to capture health insurance companies to pay, and Enid could speak to that as well, because that's another avenue. We need to tap all the sources of income and broaden that scope.
And from a nutritional standpoint, if I'm a family member or a caregiver, how do I know that it's time that they get meals delivered? What are some warning signs?
Well, you know, it's interesting, but it's the kind of thing you do know. I mean, we know when mom or dad is not eating. We look at them. They don't look as well. We also have to think about proper hydration. We got to make sure that they're not only fed, but they're hydrated. I just want to add one thing. I have to get a little plug in here. Jean said about donating.
We don't allow plugs here.
Okay, well, here's a cheap plug then. Then don't listen. We have a website, www.moaa.org, MOWAA.org. So if people do want to donate, I hate to sound like someone with my hand out, but I have my hand out because it's so vital. It is absolutely vital that we feed these people.
Clearly.
And so if people do want to donate, we have the most, well, this is the richest nation on earth, and we also have the most generous people in this country. And if people understood that people are going hungry in this, the richest nation on earth, I think that they would consider and probably donate. So www.moaa.org.
Those plugs are allowed. Tell me, Jean, when you think about nutrition here in America, we always talk about how the youngsters are really getting more obese. But are older people not? Is that also happening? Is it mirroring for older people?
It's both overweight and underweight. Both of those are issues for older adults. Older adults don't become overweight because they become older. They go into being older already overweight. And then someplace usually in the 80s or so, people start losing weight. And then they become underweight. Both of those conditions create problems and create chronic diseases and cause more disease and disability. So part of the way to counter that is trying to eat a balanced, good diet and to get regular physical activity. Both of those things are inherently together very important.
Enid, tell me, in terms of identifying sectors in the community, for instance, that need this kind of nutritional help, what kind of sectors are you usually looking at? Do you guys ever go out to the community and pinpoint areas where you want to deliver and you want to start delivering?
Well, we will deliver anywhere where there's a need. I mean, there are programs that go out and actually do this. No, they do a great deal of, spend a lot of their time talking in the community, letting the community know that Meals on Wheels programs and congregate programs exist. Where there's a need, our programs will fulfill that need. There's no question about it.
I know there are so many long-distance caregivers, for instance, that aren't able to visit their parents as often as they would like. Talk to me about the social interaction, the mental health, and the physiological health, the help that this kind of delivery program provides.
Well, I think for good health, you need to have a couple of different components, and one of those is social interaction. First of all, we eat better when we're in a group. And so in a congregate site, when you're in a group, you eat better eating that healthy food together. That social interaction is also important for people who have home-delivered meals as well. Our studies indicate that the social component, both in a congregate setting and in a home-delivered setting, is very important to these people. A caregiver who's long distance gives a call to a parent once a day. That's great. That is important. But they also need that face-to-face contact. And there'll be people who write us letters who say that my mother doesn't talk to anybody else except the person who delivers the home-delivered meal. That volunteer opportunity that people get, that gives them chance to give back to the community. That ability to interact with others our studies show, is just as important as that meal. It keeps
Absolutely.
people active intellectually. It helps deal with depression and isolation. It helps keep them happier.
Sure. Enid, tell me some experiences that you've had about changing someone's life within your organization.
You know, I'm glad you asked that question. We have, in fact, our former president, she's a nun. She runs the largest program in the United States. She serves in excess of 3,000 meals a day.
Oh, my.
She's one of the most incredible people I've ever known. In fact, she's my hero. And
Your Shiro.
Yes, my Shiro is right. And she's a dynamic human being, and I'll tell you an interesting story just recently. She goes and does her own, she works in the kitchen and does all the things that one needs to do Meals on Wheels, and she also goes and delivers meals. She wants to get back and work with the people. Well, there's a particular woman that the only one that she will take food from is Sister
Right.
Alice Marie. So Sister went, and the house is not exactly clean, and I mean, she's in Los Angeles, and it's a very bad neighborhood in Los Angeles. And Sister was actually bitten by a bug in the woman's home and developed a staph infection that ate away at her leg and whatever. And the only one that this woman would eat with was Sister. So she waited for Sister to get better, and Sister actually went to visit the woman in a wheelchair. I mean, it's just, these are heart-rendering stories. These are amazing stories. There are amazing people who work in these programs, and there are amazing people who receive these meals. It's the best program that I could ever think of. I've been with Meals on Wheels now for 15 years, and 15 of the best years of my life, because I work every single day with these heroes, and these are American heroes.
You guys have given me the inspiration to get back involved. I'm so glad that you came.
Do it.
Thank
Please do
you.
it.
We will.
Please do it.
And thank you for doing it in the past.
Absolutely.
Thank you.